All right, I want to correct something I said earlier. That meeting is wrapped up now between the president and Governor Cuomo. It actually wrapped up about 10 minutes ago, I understand. There was no photo availability or no post tape that became available. The governor left. We told it was an amicable discussion. That's about all we know. So I apologize for that confusion. But all of this occurs the same hour that we're learning right now the United States has surpassed 800,000 coronavirus cases as of this hour. In New York, by the way, 257,125 cases, by far the heaviest number of cases in New York. New Jersey is a distant second at about 88,806. But again, just the sheer number of cases and the rate of increase, while coming down, is still going up, and that's something we watch very, very closely. And that is among the reasons why we have this measure being voted on in the United States Senate, soon to go to the House, that will call for still more backup to help those affected by this shutdown that's been going on throughout much of the country. This is that $484 billion measure on the Senate, expected to easily get past that, and then in the House. But already we've seen a bipartisanship agreement where all the key players, including Nancy Pelosi and Republican leaders, are saying this is all but a done deal. Mike Emanuel has been following the drama on Capitol Hill and updates us right now. Hey, Mike.
Well, Neil, good afternoon. Yeah, once there's an agreement between those key players on Capitol Hill and sign off from the White House, things tend to move rather quickly on Capitol Hill. It's rare. A lot of times there's plenty of bickering, and they certainly did their share of bickering over recent days, but they've come together. You had initially the Republicans saying they just wanted to extend that small business program known as the Paycheck Protection Program that had run out of cash. Democrats said there are other priorities that they wanted to include, so they're going to get $25 billion more for testing. That is something that we know that Andrew Cuomo, the governor of New York, is speaking with the president of the United States about this afternoon, just wrapped up a short time ago. But a lot of concerns about testing. How do you reopen the economy without more vigorous testing? And so that's part of the package. All indications are the Senate should act in the next few minutes, pass this measure. And then we know a lot of House lawmakers are in the process of traveling from their respective districts back to Capitol Hill to have at least a quorum for a vote on Thursday morning. It's expected to pass there with the sign off of the relevant leaders in the House, but they have to have at least a quorum, 216 or so members around, to pass it and send it on to the president for his signature. Neil?
You know, Mike, a dumb question on my part, but you're used to them. And one is that this testing that's included in the legislation, Governor Cuomo had argued, I believe last week at this time, that is a federal government responsibility. He later acquiesced on that to say he was wrong, that it's a state responsibility. Now, if it's included in this legislation, in other words, to help states with more testing, I guess it becomes a moot point, doesn't it?
Yeah, my understanding was that part of the reason the governor wanted to come speak face-to-face with the president, rather than talking past one another in media appearances, was to essentially sort out what is the federal government going to commit to doing in terms of greater testing, and what should governors focus on to do in terms of greater testing. Obviously, it's in the president's interest to reopen New York, a key driver of the American economy. But as you know, in the New York City area, people live on top of one another, very closely together. And so there are a lot of people who feel like you can't open mass transit, which is critical in New York City and the surrounding areas, without knowing whether people have been tested and whether they are clear or whether they may be carrying coronavirus. Imagine coronavirus spreading around New York City subway trains. And so obviously they're not there yet. And so the governor wanted to sort out with the president what's the state's responsibility, what's the Fed's responsibility. We should get more from the president when he comes out and does his daily briefing a little later, Neil.
All right, Mike Emanuel, thank you very much.